Okay, welcome back. This is our tag so far that we've built. Building this on the fly, so we're going to touch on, I guess, lighting in this video. When I'm doing lighting, typically I will start to work in kind of some finishing parts to it, but this may be one video, this may be two videos, we'll see how we go. Get rid of that applied image that I made for a preview. Okay, so now it's all about bringing the lighting to life. So for demonstration purposes, we have our main source of light, which is really that one, and then it's also these kind of parts that I want some light to pop through. We've warped the C4Ds to make it so that we can do that. These, I'm not set on these yet, but the intention is to, I guess, make the C4Ds pop a little bit with these. I might actually warp them a little bit. This is kind of benefit our flow. A bit of light there. Not too strong though, because I want the main light to be here. Touch of light there. Touch of light shining there. So they're going to be our light spots, and obviously, that's going to shine onto the render primarily there. And then we've already got some kind of lighting here. And then also need to consider dark spots. So this section is going to be a bit darker. I do want to darken this corner a little bit, just because I want more of the light to be focused here, and there's a bit of light there. I do want to darken this kind of section of the body, as there isn't a light source on it. Depending what I'm going to do this first and see where this ends up. This might have a bit of shine that comes onto the top part there. Should be a pink line, but you get it. This kind of section here is going to be a bit darker, and then probably just darken off that section a little bit. So that's kind of roughly what I'm thinking going into this. So let's have a look. So first of all, I'm going to duplicate this just to keep in case I hate it. So we're going to warp it. Opacity to 0, filter, liquefy. So this won't show because it's not a render. You can only see it because of the layer that I've set it on. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of it, so I can still see what I'm working with here. So we've taken that part out. Okay. So these lights here, so some of these lights I want to see if I can match them up a little bit. Just gonna kind of warp them along the shape of the C4Ds. Better suited. So what I'm essentially doing is I've flow I've built down packed, this light texture, I just felt like it was kind of contradicting the flow by going in random spaces. So I'm just liquefying it a bit to, I guess, match more of the flow. Not doing anything too crazy. Might look like shit, but there's only one way to find out. This one was alright. Let's see if we can make it better. So I'm just trying to, I guess, almost smudge it along the lines that already exist, rather than going in random directions. This one is quite big, so it will be a bit tricky. Not sure if I want a light that bright on the end there. It's going to be a bit distracting. Make that a bit smaller. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, that looks okay. Okay, I still don't know. We didn't touch that yet. And this one as well. It's going to jump in there again. Actually, what I might do. Jump back into liquefy. These spots up here are a bit random. I might actually only keep one of these to kind of go that line. Mask that out. Move it away a bit so I can mask it easily. And this one. This, I'm not sure if this will fit, but again, lining it up with some of the shapes. So here I do have some of these masked out, so they're not going to all show up. But let's see what we get. Okay, that's way too bright. Mask that. Alright. I think I might move that all together. It's a bit distracting. So I'm just adding a bit of noise. Don't think I'll keep that one either. Okay, lastly, just this kind of section I think needs... whoops. So again, just trying to line these up. Oh, I didn't change the opacity. Oops. Make these lines so they're kind of complementing rather than going against what I'm trying to do. So I'm just kind of really trying to flip them. Make them go with the direction C4D is going. I'm going to have to do some masking here as well afterwards, but that should roughly work. Go. There's a bit of that kind of light section. Cool. That's that. Kind of, I guess, warped a bit more towards what we're trying to do. So there. Just turning on and off to make sure. It's kind of going a bit far. There's a bit here that I don't want. That one's okay. It's still kind of going with the flow. Okay. Right. So find my render, which is there. I'm going to put a color on this. Let's put it green. Many ways to go about lighting. I have my particular way. I like to first start off with kind of the darks. So I'm going to put a layer on top of my render. I'm going to clip mask it to my render. I'm going to set that to multiply. You can use darken or multiply. There are essentially dark layers that you can add, and then if you're going to add light layers, like we do in a sec, you can use either lighten, you can use linear dodge, you can use overlay, or even a soft light. So I'm going to grab a dark color from the background here somewhere, not too dark, but there's a lot of blue, so this kind of looks good now. So I've got a multiply, clip mask to the render. I'm going to reduce the opacity a bit, and I'm going to start painting on my dark spots. So, as we said, in this kind of drawing, black spots are going to be there. I actually increase this a little bit. So I was painting in kind of my shadows, my darker spots. See, like that. I'm going to take this down a bit, it's a little bit too intense. But what I'll often do is, so we've got one quite a low opacity, add another one, same again, and now I'm going to go for the even darker spots. So around the edges. I'm going to put this light is going to shine onto this side, so I'm going to leave that as is. This kind of will be a dark spot there. Underneath here will be quite dark. Underneath here will be quite dark. A bit of darkness there. This spot will be a bit blocked by the shoulder. That's okay. Just fit a Just need to find something that works. So there's some basic shadows on our render. I also want to put some shadows, particularly on this shape here, the C4D that we've warped, which is that one. So I'm going to do the same process to that. I'm going to add a layer, clip mask it, multiply, and reduce the opacity, and start brushing in some darker kind of spots. We can bring some lights in here, but there are some areas that I do want to be a bit darker. Still not sold on that, by the way, but let's see. Let's see how we go. Okay, nothing too extreme. That kind of works though. You can also add layer mask to this. I want to take away a little bit of that paint there, because that light can pop. That can be a bit of a bright spot. Bright spot there. There. Cool. So those are kind of the foreground shadows set up. So next I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to put that on overlay. I'm going to grab a white brush. So this is really good for adding light spots. So see the way you can easily add light spots to places. So any spot that I do eventually want to be a light spot, I'm going to just start doing some brushing over it. So this whole area is going to be quite bright, so I'm going to do some brushing over these gaps that I have. I'm going to come onto the render a bit and have a bit of brush too. Do this hoodie. Touch up these lights a little bit. That can have a bit of light. These little light spots that I kept can have a little bit of light. These can be juiced up a little bit. That can be that. Also shining down here. Okay, so this is kind of like a base for the light, I guess. Just the opacity of it, it's too intense. But now, one thing I like to do is add a Gaussian blur to the lights as well. This helps kind of even them out a bit, makes it look a bit more natural rather than kind of blotched if you're painting it. This part is a bit intense for me, so I'm going to mask some of that away. So black brush, maybe 50% of it, roughly. So I'll just mask 50% of the light there away. You can see it on the mask there where I've removed. stage, going to start adding in some of the, remember the dark spots that I drew out? Again, grab a real dark blue, opacities super low, roughly paint in where them dark spots are going to be. Darker there. This will be a bit darker. Like that. I'm going to reduce the opacity way down, so just it's quite subtle. Right there. That works. Now I've got, so I had that base, that overlay base on the light point, but I also want another base that shows like a flow of light. So I'm going to grab another overlay layer. So essentially what I mean is, so let's look at this light in particular. I want this light to shine onto this part of the render. This part here is already doing a natural job of that through the lighting on the render anyway. And there's nothing really here for this to shine onto. But this part here, I would like it, so I'm going to just put a touch in the middle there. Brighten that part as well. I'm going to add my blur again. So soften it a bit. And then you can also mask away kind of a section of that. So see that now, what I've done is, this is obviously a bright point, but through that little step that I did, it now looks like the light point is shining onto here. And we're going to color that a bit again later, but it's kind of just setting up our base. The light here is still a bit intense. I'm going to mask away a bit of that again. Just because we already got so much natural light source from the render, I don't want to overdo it. When you're doing lighting, it's a lot of adjusting, readjusting based on what you're doing. Okay, so next we're going to start some linear dodge layers. This is really good for adding new lights. So let's start with the green or the blue. Grab color so you can paint it in. So it gives the impression that the light is shining through. So I want to start with a darker blue first. Darker again. So I'm going to do a rough once over first of any of these light spots. So anywhere there's going to be essentially light coming through, that might be a red light. Really. See what it looks like. That darker. Do have some blue light here, but not really a strong source. put one light on that. We have this spot here. We have this spot. So basically just painting over the blue lights that I have at the moment. We did lighten up some of these spots. They can have kind of a little blotches of blue light. A little bit. So I'm kind of building backwards at the moment. So they're kind of the light spots that I want that are blue. Then I'm gonna grab some orange light too. Works. So there's that orange light there. Don't really like it. So now we're gonna go over some of these lines that we have. Add a little bit more intensity and glow to them. It's kind of a bit of a spot here. Not sure if I want to use it yet. Doesn't matter. Here, here. And then that's going to shine, fill that area a little bit more. Alright. That looks quite intense, but that's fine for now because I'm going to blur it, soften it. So essentially I want to get to the point where, see, at the moment it looks, you can see where I put the brushes, it's quite blotchy. I want to get to the point where it's kind of like a bit more of a subtle glow. So somewhere like that. And then I'm just going to reduce the opacity of it. This is just a base, so it can be quite, it doesn't have to be high opacity because we're going to do more layers. Yeah, that kind of sets us up for what we want to do next. Let's go another linear dodge layer. Should have saved that blue, but I didn't. Okay. I'm going to kind of go in a bit more detail on some of these light spots. So where the kind of glows will be. Bit of glow through there. These little pieces can have a glow. So these kind of spots that are already done, essentially I just want to touch on them. That one's kind of, I don't want that to be too intense. And same with this one. But see how we've kind of gone over the points again with another brush. Bring that down a little bit. So you can see how there was no light here before. I set up kind of a bit of a, this is almost like a base glow, and then over the top of it again with a more refined glow. So it gives it the impression that this is a brighter spot and it's kind of emitting light outwards, and the further it gets away, the less bright it is. Okay, let's make one same layer for our orange. So tackle this boy. to have essentially, I want these to be quite faint glows, so I'm just going to roughly go over some of them again, because I don't want these lights to be too intense. I think that looks better without glowing that spot. Okay, so I've got this that I've set up here that is emulating the glow. I'm going to go back to my render again, and this time I'm going to put a linear dodge. I'm going to use that orange, and I'm going to add that orange spot, that orange glow. So just grab the edges slightly. I'm going to blur it and reduce the opacity. So see, now it's giving the impression that that orange light is shining onto that part of this dude. Now we do have that C4D that's on top of it as well, so that will also need the same to make it look actually legit. I'm going to mask that away. Cool, let's blur that as well. The opacity of that a bit. So see, that just makes that light just look more realistic in that spot. Just a nice little detail. Okay. Right, what else we need? So back to our render, just here. So now I'm going to start painting some more lights onto this. So I do want some of that orange is kind of coming up in front of the render here. So I do want that to be kind of reflected on the render a little bit. We've got that part sorted. Let's do our blur. Just softens it a bit, makes it look a bit more natural. This isn't going to be too intense, it's going to be quite minuscule. Just a little touch of orange. And that 60%, 65%. Cool. Gonna do another one for the blue. So this is gonna be a bit more intense. So this light is here. I kind of want that to shine onto him a bit there. And there as well. Maybe select it there. Do a blur. So this is where we just do a lot of real minor adjustments. This is a bit too stretched. I want it to be a bit more focused. Mask it away a bit. Okay. So I think pretty happy with really what we've got in terms of lighting here at the moment. Lights work, they make sense, reflecting onto the render where they should. What I'm gonna do next, you know what, I said I was gonna do a last video, I'll do the final touches in the last video. Thanks for joining, hope you watch the next one, see ya.